10. Danielle Stafford. In April 2023, a 29-year-old engineer from Horgate, Cottingham, named Danielle Stafford was sentenced to 7.5 years in jail for running a cocaine operation and being involved in the supply of both heroin and cannabis. She had lived a life full of luxury, indulging in expensive goods like Louis Vuitton handbags and watches. She even bought a second home with her drug money. During her trial at Hull Crown Court, it was revealed that she had avoided using her actual job salary and instead relied significantly on the cash income generated from her illegal activities. Stafford tried to lie to the court by claiming that she was the victim of a Liverpool drug dealer after she was caught speeding by police officers. But substantial evidence showed her deep involvement in drug dealing. During her arrest, the police found £26,917 in cash hidden around her house, along with drugs valued at approximately £33,600. Despite her attempts to downplay the origin of the expensive items on her property, the court didn't believe her claims that they were fake or just gifts from family members. Judge Mark Berry, who presided over the case, emphasized that Stafford had considerable talent and potential as a promising engineer, but chose to participate in criminal activities instead. During the trial, it was revealed that Stafford denied 9 charges at first, but eventually changed her pleas to guilty on 4 counts to try and get a more lenient sentence. The evidence presented against her was strong, leaving little doubt about her involvement in the drug-dealing ring. The police initially spotted Stafford driving a silver Audi at high speeds, leading up to her arrest. Subsequent searches of her vehicle and home revealed drugs, drug-related messages on her cell phone, and large amounts of cash hidden throughout her property. Stafford's defense argued that her involvement in Class A drug dealing came later and was influenced by an unnamed person from Liverpool. But the court found evidence of her being a cannabis dealer for a substantial period of time before she progressed to dealing cocaine. Although she claimed innocence, the court deemed Stafford responsible for her actions and the financial reward she gained from the drug ring. The judge added that her lavish lifestyle and the items discovered at her home indicated her ability to earn substantial income from the illegal business. On top of her prison sentence, Stafford's assets, including her second home and luxury goods, were likely to be confiscated since the court saw them as proceeds of her drug dealing. Throughout the trial, Stafford remained impassive, but she expressed words of thanks to her supporters in the public gallery as she was led to her cell. Her defense attorney, Salima Mahmood, argued that Stafford showed remorse and engaged in voluntary work while seeking legitimate employment opportunities. Prosecutor Nadeem Bashir presented evidence claiming the opposite, showing Stafford's involvement in dealing with both cannabis and Class A drugs. The court acknowledged that she had managed to avoid the attention of police officers for an extended period, leading to substantial financial gains from her illegal interests. The case demonstrated the serious consequences associated with drug dealing and the impact it can have on individuals and society as a whole. Stafford's promising career as an engineer was derailed thanks to her involvement in criminal activities, resulting in her imprisonment and the loss of her wealth. 9. Anna Sorokin. In 2017, a woman who claimed to be an heiress was caught faking her wealth when she was arrested for not paying her bill at a restaurant in New York City. Anna Sorokin, a Russian immigrant from a middle-class family, arrived in New York City with big dreams and a plan in mind. She wanted to become a prominent figure in Manhattan's high-class society. So, to achieve this, she created a fictitious identity as a wealthy German heiress named Anna Delvey. She wore designer clothes from luxury brands like Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent and moved from one upscale hotel to another, living a lavish lifestyle fueled by expensive meals and private flights. Sorokin managed to convince multiple people that she was the heiress she claimed to be. She portrayed herself as a well-off woman with a taste for the finer things in life. Her appearance and confidence made her lies convincing to many, but little did her friends know it was all part of an elaborate scam. To maintain her false identity, Sorokin resorted to fraudulent tactics, swindling over $275,000 from victims, including her own friends and financial institutions. She manipulated those around her, convincing them of her vast wealth overseas and need for monetary assistance. Using fake financial statements and forged documents, she obtained credit lines, financial aid, and funds from both banks and hedge funds, promising to eventually repay them through wire transfers from her alleged European account. But no money was ever transferred, and Sorokin kept all of the funds for herself. According to the Washington Post, one of her many ambitious projects was the creation of a members-only arts club called ADF, or the Anna Delvey Foundation. She even enlisted the help of a young up-and-coming architect, Gabriel Andres Calatrava, the son of renowned architect Santiago Calatrava, to design the club for her. With false claims of a trust fund worth over 60 million euros, Sorokin convinced him of her financial standing. But the truth was that her father, reportedly a former truck driver from Russia, was running a modest heating and cooling business in Germany and had been supporting her for years. Despite her elaborate scheme, Sorokin's grand plans ultimately crumbled into pieces. Her fraudulent activities caught up with her when her debt started to pile up and she was unable to pay her bills. She was even locked out of her room at 11 Howard Hotel and was forced to leave the W Hotel after failing to give them a credit card. Then, in a desperate bid to avoid paying a restaurant bill less than $200 at La Parca Meridian back in 2017, she falsely claimed that her aunt from Germany would cover the expenses for her. But instead of her fictitious aunt, the police showed up and arrested her for not paying. After a month-long trial, Sorokin was finally convicted on most of the charges, including second-degree grand larceny, attempted grand larceny, and theft of services. The jury acquitted her of some of the more serious charges though, like trying to secure a $22 million loan and stealing $60,000 from a friend for a short trip to Morocco. Then, in 2019, a judge sentenced Sorokin to 4 to 12 years behind bars. Her time started in 2017 when she was initially arrested, so by 2022 she'd already served about 4 years in prison and was released under strict conditions. As long as she wears her ankle monitor and stays off social media completely, she'll no longer be viewed as a threat. But despite her conviction, Sorokin's story has captivated public interest, and a series based on her life was even produced by Netflix called Inventing Anna. Many applauded her fraud as a sort of Robin Hood-like move, since she mainly seemed to scam money out of the rich. 8. Vodka and crime. In late 2022, the couple behind a vodka firm in Lanarkshire, Scotland, Johnny Morrissey and his wife Nicola, were arrested in Spain for money laundering. Nicola was the director of Nero Drinks Company Ltd. The arrest came as Spanish authorities claimed to have cracked down on an international money laundering operation that involved the Kinahan crime gang. The Kinahan gang, which was previously compared to the Italian mafia and terrorist groups, has been under recent scrutiny by law enforcement. And Johnny Morrissey was identified earlier this year as having close ties to the clan, with suspicions of him being involved in laundering about £173 million the previous year. Recently, Spanish authorities released video evidence of the couple's arrest at their villa in the Marbella area as their home was searched. The Guardia de Civil, Spain's oldest law enforcement agency, said that Johnny Morrissey had allegedly collected large amounts of cash from criminal organizations operating throughout Spain. He then used the Hawala system to transfer it to other criminal groups overseas. The investigation uncovered evidence of transfers totaling hundreds of millions of dollars. The Nero Drinks Company is suspected of being a front for laundering illegal funds. The members of the organization in Spain allegedly promoted a luxury vodka brand in extravagant Costa del Sol areas to create the illusion of legitimacy. But tax authorities revealed that the company couldn't have actually supported the lifestyle of those involved based on the profits it reported. Another facet of the operation included creating a company in the UK, which relied on a Gibraltar-based firm to mask the true identities of directors engaged in money laundering through the Hawala system. Hawala is an ancient informal transfer system that requires no physical movement of cash and operates entirely anonymously. so investigators believe that the laundered money is physically still in Spain. In addition to the Morrisseys, a third suspect was taken into custody in Spain, and a former expat Irish national was arrested in the UK. Facilities in Rochdale and Glasgow were also searched during the operation. Nicola Morrissey, though, was reportedly released on bail after a court hearing. The investigation involved close cooperation between Spanish police, the DEA from the US, Britain's National Crime Agency, and the Gardaí, or Irish police. And it was sparked after £430,000 in cash and 200 kilograms of cocaine were seized from multiple cars that had been adapted to hide money and drug shipments. Nero Vodka set off on a 5-year sponsorship deal with Hamilton Accies back in 2019. The couple previously expressed support for responsible drinking. They even backed the Drink Aware campaign in the past, an independent charity that aims to reduce alcohol-related harm by helping people who struggle with addiction make better choices. Considering their involvement with crime, this only makes the couple look worse. 7. Daniella Rendon. In February 2023, 31-year-old Miami real estate broker Daniella Rendon faced serious federal fraud charges for allegedly misusing COVID-19 relief funds to support an extravagant lifestyle. Rendon bought private jets, luxury yachts, high-end cars, and expensive clothing. She also openly showcased her wealth on social media platforms, where she had over 33,000 collective followers. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida revealed that Rendon was given $381,000 through the Small Business Administration and Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, which was intended to help struggling businesses during the pandemic. But she's instead accused of using the funds to indulge herself, her friends, and her family. Among the luxuries she allowed herself, she allegedly leased a 2021 Bentley Bentayga, which came with a hefty price tag of $181,000. She even had the audacity to feature it on her Instagram. Additionally, Rendon rented out a luxury apartment in Biscayne Bay, underwent several cosmetic procedures, and even had a pair of designer shoes fixed using the misappropriated funds. Rendon was hit with a boatload of charges, including 7 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of aggravated identity theft, and 2 counts of money laundering. If she's convicted, she'll be facing about 20 years in prison. Prosecutors considered her a flight risk and were worried that she might try to evade justice by returning to her home country of Colombia. So, as a result, her bond was set at a whopping $150,000. To get the funds meant for struggling businesses, Rendon allegedly falsified her own business's data to secure the PPP funds. She submitted incorrect information on revenue, payroll, costs, tax details, and even her employee count to lenders in both New Jersey and Idaho, receiving the loans directly into her corporate bank account. The indictment states that Rendon worked with a payroll processor in New Jersey to process the loans and issue checks to family and friends in her close inner circle. As an apparent real estate agent specializing in ultra-luxury properties, as described on her LinkedIn profile, Rendon applied for $371,000 in business loans through the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program and $10,000 through the Economic Injury Disaster Relief Program. 6. Michael Farrell and Christopher Lang. In July 2023, a man from Hays, Kansas, and his accomplice in California were arrested for fraud after an FBI search of one of their homes on June 26th. The arrest came after FBI agents apprehended 2 individuals involved in a telemarketing scheme. The scam specifically targeted elderly people. The accused, 44-year-old Michael Farrell from West Los Angeles and 42-year-old Christopher Lang in Hays, were charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Police Chief Don Scheibler mentioned that Hays police officers supported the FBI during the search of Lang's home. The pair allegedly pretended to represent several different companies offering advertising and services to current or former timeshare owners, convincing victims to pay fees in exchange for timeshare-related services that were never actually delivered. After initial payments were sent by the victims, Farrell and Lang continued contacting them through various methods attempting to extract more money. As a result of this fraudulent scheme, at least 370 elderly individuals lost a combined total of over $4.5 million. These victims relied heavily on their Social Security income, investment, retirement accounts, and savings to pay the fake companies. Despite the victims making recurring payments over several years, they never received the timeshare-related services or proceeds they were promised. Evidence gathered during the investigation suggested that the suspects used the funds from their scheme to pay for personal expenses and luxury items. The FBI's Los Angeles field office is now leading the investigation with help from the FBI's Kansas City field office. The case is being prosecuted by the United States Attorney's Office in Los Angeles. Farrell has been detained since his initial court appearance, while Lang's detention hearing has been scheduled for later in the year. So, since neither of them has received a sentence, we'll have to wait and see what punishments they'll get. What do you think can be done to stop online scams from targeting elderly people? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. 5. Kyla Massa. On February 13, 2020, federal investigators put an end to a brazen Instagram scam that targeted victims for years. The arrest was made in connection with a conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. The main culprit was 22-year-old Kyla Massa, an influencer on Instagram and YouTube. The scheme involved recruiting victims through Instagram and convincing them to hand over their banking information after emptying their accounts. These stolen bank cards were then used to deposit substantial amounts of stolen money. The investigation revealed that the scam had generated well over $1.5 million. The fraudulent activity started out as early as July 2018, when the US Postal Service found 53 blank money orders stolen from an office in Berlin, New Jersey. Postal inspectors traced a few of the money orders to a resident in Barrington, New Jersey, who's only referred to as JK in official court documents. The victim responded to a posting by an Instagram user named K Goldie, who promised up to $5,000 in return for using the bank account, but the promised money never materialized. Massa allegedly promoted her scheme through countless Instagram stories, flaunting huge stacks of money, account balances, and money orders. The videos also featured people holding debit cards and large amounts of cash, creating an aura of wealth and success. To alleviate fears of losing money, Massa encouraged victims to empty their bank accounts before handing over their cards and PIN numbers. Once the victims' funds were emptied, Massa and her associates made purchases and deposits using counterfeit checks and money orders. The victims were then left with negative balances, and the scammers attempted to launder the ill-gotten gains by getting legitimate money orders. Two other victims of the scam, named CF and MD in court documents, spoke about similar experiences, where they handed over their debit cards and PIN numbers to Massa in the hopes of making money. But once the deposits were identified as fraudulent, the victims' accounts were overdrawn and closed completely. The investigation eventually led to the arrest of Massa and 10 other individuals, including her sister, boyfriend, and several associates involved in the scheme. Apparently, the group deposited over 1,600 fraudulent or counterfeit checks and 650 counterfeit or stolen money orders between May 2018 and February 2020, with the intended loss estimated totaling at least $1,015,663. It's unclear if any of them have been sentenced yet, suggesting that the case may still be under investigation. 4. Marlon and LaShonda Moore. In Texas, Marlon Moore, or DJ ASAP, and his wife LaShonda lured black investors with promises of building generational wealth and getting returns as high as 800% through an investment program called Blessings in No Time, or BINT. According to the Washington Post, participants were asked to pay an upfront fee of either $1,400 or $1,425, with the potential to receive up to $11,200 or $11,400 back, a whopping 8 times their original investment. But it was actually a pyramid scheme that scammed tens of millions of dollars from thousands of people, many of whom happened to be African Americans that were targeted through affinity fraud. Affinity fraud typically involves exploiting shared characteristics like race or religion to gain trust and deceive victims. The Moors, who are black themselves, preyed on the shared race and religious beliefs of their investors, using religious overtones and prayers to gain trust. Texas authorities officially filed a lawsuit against the couple back in 2021, and the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, along with the state of Arkansas, accused them of running a pyramid scheme. Thankfully, the Moors didn't get away with their scam. On July 26, 2023, they were handed a $10.8 million judgment in Texas, with a settlement that will give refunds to 8,000 victims across the country. The settlement also permanently bans Marlon and LaShonda Moore from engaging in any multi-level marketing businesses in the future. And although victims may not ever fully recover their losses, the Moors were ordered to pay no less than $450,000, but up to $2.5 million back to them, in addition to the $10.8 million judgment, for a Texas-administered fund to help those that were affected by the dastardly scheme. This case serves as a warning and will make it easier to identify similar scams in the future. The history of economic depravity faced by African Americans creates unique vulnerability to such tricks. The promise of building wealth and creating opportunities for future generations makes affinity schemes appealing to the average person, but they're nothing more than manipulative cash grabs. The Moors and their pyramid scheme highlights the need for vigilance and education in identifying and avoiding fraud and other deceptive investment programs going forward. By raising awareness and stopping similar scams, we can protect vulnerable communities from falling victim to these horrible schemes. 3. Robin Sarpong. On September 4, 2019, a 35-year-old man from New Jersey named Robin Sarpong was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Sarpong defrauded over 30 victims by luring them in through internet dating sites, resulting in a loss of over $2 million. To trick these people, Sarpong made several fake online dating profiles, predominantly portraying a US military man stationed overseas and seeking a romantic connection. But these profiles were entirely fake or sometimes based on stolen identities, according to federal prosecutors in Camden, New Jersey. FBI Special Agent in Charge Gregory Airy warned that in our current digital age, it's crucial to approach interactions with strangers online with skepticism. He added that fraudsters are continuously finding ways to exploit people for financial gain with little effort. Starting back in January 2016, Sarpong successfully managed to deceive his victims into sending him money through wire transfers, personal/cashier's checks, and popular money transfer services like Western Union. He claimed that the funds were needed to ship gold bars to the United States, while he and his accomplices in Ghana pocketed the money. To further deceive his victims, Sarpong posted photos on social media showcasing himself with large amounts of cash, luxury vehicles, and expensive jewelry. Justice was served, though, in 2022 when a federal judge handed him 14 years in prison for his role in the dating scam. Sarpong was also given 3 years of supervised release on top of the prison term, and he was ordered to pay $3 million in restitution to his 36 victims. 2. Kieran Hamilton. In the city of Manchester, 21-year-old Kieran Hamilton, or Kez, experienced something terrifying that shed light on a concerning crime trend back in May 2018. As a successful cryptocurrency trader, Kez saw his fortunes rise, and he didn't hesitate to share his success on social media. But little did he know that displaying his wealth would make him a target for criminals. According to Vice, late one night while Kez was asleep in his home, he was woken up by some strange noises. Thinking it was simply one of his French bulldogs causing a ruckus, he decided to investigate while dressed in only his boxers. But as he went down the stairs, Kez found himself in a nightmare he couldn't have ever imagined. He was confronted by a chilling sight: 2 masked men holding machetes. The men yelled their demands through the room. Their voices were clear. They wanted money, drugs, and expensive watches. The attackers seemed convinced that Kez was a wealthy drug dealer thanks to rumors circulating about in the local community. Being from a lower working-class background, he faced skepticism about his quick success as a cryptocurrency trader. Jealousy and speculation about the source of his money led to whispers that he must have been involved in illegal activities. His flashy online presence with luxurious cars, shopping sprees, trips, and Rolex watches only added fuel to the gossip fire. The two intruders were relentless, ordering Kez to empty his safe, search under his mattress, and hand over any cash he possessed. But Kez maintained his innocence, insisting that he wasn't involved in drug dealing and had no hidden stashes. Sadly, this only seemed to irritate the attackers. In addition to Kez's story, a growing number of reports have linked burglaries to social media posts. According to a report made in 2018, 1 in every 12 Brits reported burglaries after sharing personal information to platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The troubling reality is that burglars also use social media, just like everyone else. Only criminals use it to identify and track potential targets. In some cases, location tagging is enabled, offering thieves a direct line to victims' whereabouts. The repercussions of Insta-bragging have become so significant that insurers are contemplating not paying out in certain theft cases. A standard contents insurance contract typically includes a reasonable care clause, which might be deemed void if individuals recklessly expose their wealth online. Kez's case shares striking similarities with other public figures and influencers who've been victims of thefts after online exposure. For instance, the Saudi influencer Hitham was mugged while in London, and even YouTube star PewDiePie had his home robbed after unintentionally revealing his address in a video. It's important to recognize that social media offers a curated glimpse into individuals' lives, showcasing the best and most luxurious aspects. Unfortunately, this selective sharing can inadvertently attract unwanted attention. Kez learned this the hard way, as his sarcastic response to attackers only aggravated the situation further, resulting in violence and injury. The perpetrators managed to get away with Kez's laptop, phone, and even his dog Rambo. Understandably, Kez had a difficult time after the robbery, feeling violated and unsafe in his own home. Luckily though, at least one of the robbers was brought to justice. 27-year-old Corey Frigga of Blackburn Lancs was arrested after publicly admitting to the crime. He also confessed to another unrelated offense, possessing drugs with intent to supply. As a result, he was sentenced to 13 years behind bars. Today, Kez has shifted his focus away from cryptocurrency trading, instead preferring to invest in property. While he still maintains a small online presence, he's installed strict security measures to protect his personal information and safety. He acknowledges that making posts online is part of his job, since it showcases his success and motivates others to work hard. Kez now emphasizes the importance of finding a balance between sharing and safeguarding himself. His experience serves as a cautionary tale for individuals who want to showcase their luxurious lifestyles on social media. While sharing achievements and success can be inspiring, it's also critical to exercise caution and be aware of potential risks. Social media can be a double-edged sword, amplifying both positive and negative aspects of our lives. So, practicing vigilance and understanding the implications of our online personas is crucial to maintaining personal security. 1. Fernando Perez Algaba. On July 23, 2023, the dismembered body of Fernando Perez Algaba, a 41-year-old self-proclaimed millionaire crypto influencer, was discovered stuffed inside a suitcase in Argentina. Suspiciously, the grim find came just a few weeks after Algaba posted disturbing messages to his social media, describing his fears of being targeted by evil people that wanted to harm him. The discovery happened in Ingeniero Bunch, Buenos Aires, where 2 children were playing football when they stumbled upon the abandoned red suitcase holding Algaba's body parts. His body had 2 gunshot wounds, and the remains were found over the course of multiple days. They found Algaba's legs and forearm inside the suitcase, followed by an arm in a nearby stream. Then finally the torso and head were located, stuffed inside a discarded backpack. The clean and precise amputation of the body parts indicated that a professional must have been involved in the mutilation. The remains were accurately identified by a 4-letter tattoo on a hand, and fingerprint analysis proved further confirmation that they belonged to Algaba. According to the autopsy, Algaba was killed by 2 shots to his back. It's reported that it racked up significant debt, and one suspect has been arrested in connection to the murder. The suspect's involvement came to light after investigators found the murder weapon inside a suitcase from their home. Leading up to his death, Algaba dealt with mounting threats and pressures from creditors, demanding the repayment of his debts, with one individual even threatening to hurt him physically. He'd allegedly accrued substantial financial losses after investing in several cryptocurrencies, which led to irrecoverable debts. Despite his financial struggles, Algaba projected a luxurious lifestyle on his social media pages, boasting about 918,000 followers on Instagram. He flaunted his expensive possessions, including jet skis, high-end cars, and exclusive party experiences. But his posts took a dark turn before his death, expressing concerns about the threatening intentions of certain individuals. Algaba had a rags-to-riches story, initially selling sandwiches and delivering pizzas before going into vehicle repair and resale. But eventually, he found success through investments in cryptocurrencies and the stock market, amassing a considerable fortune. He even owned a warehouse full of high-end vehicles by the age of 24. He'd previously lived in Miami and Spain before returning home to Argentina, where his life came to a tragic end. The murder investigation is ongoing as authorities dive deeper into the circumstances surrounding his death and the potential motives behind the despicable crime. So, for now, it's not clear who killed Algaba. Have you or anyone you know ever fallen victim to a scam? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.